this sales script has generated over $1 million in cash collected. And in this video, I'm going to simply break it down into 5 or 6 stages so you can copy the exact framework that I've used and our company's used to generate thousands of sales for our online info business, right? So let's get straight into the script. It's a very simple process. A beginner, an expert, there's going to be something that you guys can take from this video, and hopefully you can go away and you can implement this script in your business so you can start making more money on sales calls. So let's get into it. The first stage of the sales script is the introduction, right? And this is not something that needs to be super long. You want to build rapport in this initial stage and kind of break the ice of the conversation. And with the sales script, you simply just want to be like, hey, thanks for jumping on. Can you hear me? Can you see me okay? All good. And then get straight into it. So it's as simple as that. Hey, can you hear me? Can you see me? Maybe you say, hey man, where are you calling from? Like, great to have you on the call. Break the ice a little bit. Also, just a quick caveat, if you guys are recording your calls, then it's key that you ask them if you can record it, right? I've ruined a lot of calls by not asking, and then 20-30 seconds in, they're like, hey, are you recording this, by the way? And then yeah, so you've broken the trust initially if you don't kind of ask to record. So just make sure if you are recording to make sure they're cool with that. Okay, cool. So after you've kind of broken the ice, you've got the introduction down, you want to set the frame of the conversation. You can lose control of a conversation very quickly if you don't set the frame, and then they start asking questions to you. They start asking about the price, and it gets crazy like very quickly, right? And you want to kind of set the frame and explain how the call is going to go. So we also want to do something here where we drop the shoulders of prospects. So this is really important, right? And no one teaches this in sales. I've been actually seeing a lot of trainings that tell, in their scripts and teach to set the frame like this, which is basically, hey man, so yeah, these calls are pretty chilled. The whole goal going forward, is just to see if we can help you out. That's great, by the way. See if we can help you out with XYZ program. So I just want to ask you a couple of questions. Hey, and by the end of the call, if this is a good thing for you, just tell me yes. If you're not a fan, just tell me no, but just don't tell me maybe, okay? That's a terrible frame to set, because what you do, prospects are coming into your call kind of tense. They're like, oh, it's a sales call. They don't want to be sold to, really. And by just saying, hey, just tell me yes, just tell me no, just don't tell me maybe, by doing something crazy like that, they're not going to open up as much. They're going to be worried about making a yes or no decision at the end of the call, and they've got their guard up, right? So how do we kind of drop their shoulders? So in this script and in the script that we use, it's way more chilled, and I'm going to show you and teach you some strategies to close them out at the end of the sale. But before that, we want to give them the out early on in the conversation, just so we get them to open up a little bit and tell us their real problems, pains, concerns, etc. So how do we do that? Well, after the introduction, we want to set the frame. So we say, hey man, look, super excited to have you here. Thank you for jumping on. Appreciate you jumping on. What we do on these calls is I just want to ask you a few questions to see if XYZ program is going to be a good fit for you going forward. If it is a good fit, I'm more than happy to show you what we've done for students like yourself. If it's not a good fit, you can get back to your Tuesday. I don't want, waste your time, right? And then they're normally like, and you say, yeah, sounds fair, sounds cool. They're like, yeah, awesome, man, love it. Hey, and by the way, that way, you have all the information, you know exactly what we do. So when you are ready to do something like this, you have us in the back of your pocket. You know how we can help. That sound good? And by saying this, hey, by the way, then, you have all the information for when you're ready to do something like this. Not saying you have to make a decision right now. Hey, you have all the information so when you are ready to make a commitment or join a program like this, you know exactly what we can do and how we can help. So yeah, sound fair? How does that sound? That drops the shoulders of the prospect, because you're telling them, hey, you can go away. You can tell me everything about you right now. I'm going to show you the program. If it's a good fit, then you can go away. You don't have to make a decision, right? And we'll get to how to kind of get them to a decision, but that's really important. And it's something I don't see anyone really teaching, a lot of people teaching at all. So yeah, implement that in your script, and notice how in the next stage, which is discovery, you get way more honest answers, way more deep answers. They go deeper and they tell you their problems, because they don't think they're getting sold to. They're more, their shoulders are kind of dropped. They're not coming into the call tense and worried about getting sold to or forced into making a decision today. So that's the set the frame. From there, the most important part of the whole sales call is up next, which is the discovery phase. This is simply where we build the gap from their current situation, desired situation. We want to ask them a few questions to see where they're at, what they're struggling with, and how we can help, right? And to see if they actually are a good fit. So again, discovery is really important. I use a 6W framework for the discovery phase, which is simply, hey, where are you currently at? Where do you want to go? What's your goal? What have you tried before? Why aren't you there? Like, what's really stopping you from getting there? Again, what have you tried before? Why didn't that work? And then simply these 2 last questions. I guess effectively there's like 7 W's here, but it's a bunch of W questions. Hey, where are you at? Where do you want to go? What's stopping you? What's the problem? What's stopping you from getting there? What have you tried before? Why didn't that work? And then simply, why is now a good time to do something like this, right? So this is like kind of pre-handling objections. Hey, why now? Like, why not 6 months ago? Why not 6 months into the future? future? And then why is now a good time to invest in something like this? This is a killer question. These last two questions have changed my sales experience recently, and our whole team uses it. And we've been able to close hundreds of deals just by preventing objections early on, asking them, hey, why is now a good time for you to do something like this? Again, the other ones are very simple. Hey, what's your current situation? Hey man, what you got going on? They tell you their current situation. Hey, what is your goal? Like, why have you booked on? Oh, I want to get to XYZ. I want to get to 10K a month. Cool. What's stopping you from getting to 10K a month? Oh, I just don't have the system. Makes sense. Obviously, you want to go deeper, right? When someone's giving you surface level answers, go deeper. Say, hey, why? Why is that? Tell me more. Like, can you elaborate on that a little bit just so I understand, right? You want to go deeper, understand their pain points, write it down, have a notebook, whatever you need to do. So initially, understand their goal, understand where, what they're currently at, where they want to go. What's the problem or what's stopping them? What have they tried before? Maybe they tell you they bought a program, but it didn't work. You kind of want to dig deeper on that and be like, hey, why didn't it work, right? And then if they tell you something that didn't work, then hey, perfect. You want to show them how you can be different. So that's really important. Another key caveat, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but for example, if they say, hey, no, I haven't bought anything, I haven't invested into anything, ask them why, right? If they, I haven't bought anything, I just haven't had the funds. Okay, well, do you see how, John, waiting until you're in this situation where you're struggling, you've been doing the same thing for 2 years, you see how this way of thinking of waiting until it's like desperate to look at investing into yourself has caused you to kind of waste a lot of time and waste a lot of potential earnings, right? Over the last 2 to 3 years. Does that make sense? Yeah, I see that. I see how not investing in myself earlier. You can really dig deep and get the prospect to be in more of an open state to investing. If they tell you that they haven't invested in themselves, if they have invested into themselves in the past, then it's like, hey, why are you looking for more solutions then? What was it about XYZ program that didn't get you the results? And then when they tell you it was whatever, then you can obviously highlight that inside of your presentation, which we'll come to. So we're really gaining information in this discovery phase about what they really need, so we can present that in our presentation and actually customize the presentation to them, to the prospect. Sweet. Last two questions of that, which are the most important. I think they're the best questions in this whole script. Why is now a good time to do something like this? Then they'll sell themselves on why they're on the call right now, not in 6 months, not in 6 months prior, right? And hey, why is now a good time to look at our more advanced stuff? Why not go through our free YouTube videos? That's a great question. It's like, hey, it's a hard question to ask, but hey, John, look, I'll be real with you. We have a bunch of YouTube, we have a bunch of free stuff. Like, what's causing you to look at more advanced training, more advanced help from us today, rather than just checking out a bunch of free stuff and trying to figure this out by yourself? And you can also imply it. You can imply that they need more help. So why look at fast tracking your way to results? Why look at fast tracking your way to success by getting our more advanced help than just checking out the free stuff and kind of figuring it out and stumbling around the free stuff by yourself? Like, why is that a good idea for you? Right? You can put words in their mouth literally and tell them why it's a good idea. You just want to hear it from them, not yourself. Cool. So we have the 6 to 7 W's inside of the discovery phase. Again, we're gaining information in this phase for the next phase, which is going to be the presentation. But just before we get into the presentation, we want to kind of say a statement of confidence, right? Which is something I learned a couple of years back, which is simply a great way to transition from discovery into presentation. It's simply like saying, hey, John, look, I really appreciate you answering all that. It seems from what you've told me, you're a perfect fit for what we do and what we've done for students like yourself. How about I share my screen here? I'm really confident we can help you and show you what we've done for people like yourself and hundreds of students in this situation exactly where you are right now. Again, you can freeball this, you can have a way of saying it. Effectively, you just want to kind of state that you can help them. He or she is a great fit for what you do, and then ask for permission. Hey, is it cool if I just pull up my screen? I'm just going to show you around and show you exactly what we did for Sarah and John, last week, who are exactly the same as you, and they ended up getting, the same result that you're looking for. Yeah, sounds good, Miles. Please go ahead. Boom. Now we're into the presentation. So with the presentation, I can't really tell you how to present. Look, I recommend using like a slide deck to get started if you're brand new. If you're not, you can kind of just have some sort of presentation that you show them, but present to them, not at them, right? So what I mean by that is you don't want to just present the same presentation to everyone. You want to make it custom. You want to look at what they told you inside of a discovery phase. Maybe they're a barber, maybe they're in a specific niche, right? Well, maybe it's cool to have a testimonial to hand of a similar niche. I have hundreds of testimonials from our program inside of my head where if someone tells me they're a single mom with 3 kids and they haven't got the time really to do whatever, but they're also looking at doing like makeup, it's like, okay, cool. Well, we had we had Jenny 3 weeks ago or 3 months ago who exactly the same, had a couple of kids and wanted to get into the same niche. I'll just pull up that testimonial and show you how we helped, right? Great example. So, this is obviously not part of the script. You just want to learn your own testimonials for whatever you're selling and make it custom to them. Right? Presenting at them is not the way to go. Presenting to them is the way to go. And what I mean by that is, show them what's relevant. When they're telling you, I bought a program from this guy, and the reason, the information was fine, but the reason I kind of looking for some more advanced options is when I had a question, there was just no support. So obviously in the presentation, you want to highlight how much support you have, how much access you have, and how different it is from, the other program that they bought. So again, make it relevant, customize it. You'll get better at this with time, but there's no real script for presenting. You just want to walk through testimonials, and you want to give a high level overview on how you can help, and basically sell the dream outcome, right? Don't always just sell like the features, but any features you do sell, make sure it's relevant to stuff that they told you that they wanted inside of a discovery phase. Cool. After presenting, we want to close. We want to get them across the line and basically get them to buy on this call, right? So there's a few ways we do this, but before the close, it's kind of a pre-close. And there's a few questions we ask before we ever get into closing someone, because we need to do a temperature check. We need to figure out if we actually can close them, right? Closing someone without ever, there's a saying in sales, which is like, you never close someone you don't know is going to close, right? And that's obviously hard, easier said than done, but you want to kind of figure out by asking these kind of intelligent questions if they are going to close, because if you go in and ask for the sale, you're going to get objections. Let's figure out if they're actually going to buy before we even ask them. How can we do this? Well, we ask 2 or 3 questions here. Hey, cool. So do you want me to go any deeper on any of that? I know I went really quickly through it. Anything you want me to kind of cover, or does this feel like the thing that you were looking for, the solution that you were looking for? Yeah, Miles, it looks perfect. I love it. Obviously, if they say no, then answer their questions, go deeper on something. Yeah, Miles, I love it. It seems perfect. Awesome, John. Well, you tell me, everyone's different. I speak to so many people. People get different value from every aspect of what we have here. For you specifically, what about the program is going to help you the most? And if they don't give you a good answer, say, hey, is it maybe the course? Is it maybe the roadmap? Is it maybe the support? Is it maybe the Q&A course? The community of like-minded people? Like, what aspect for you specifically is going to help you the most going forward, right? Future pacing them, assuming they're going to buy. Hey, what's going to help you the most out of what I just showed you going forward? Yeah, Miles, it's going to be the Q&A calls. I love the support. Amazing. All right, sweet. And again, from what I showed you, I want to hear it. You can say no, like, I want to hear it from you, not myself. Do you feel like we can get you to XYZ goal, right? Whether that's, hey, could we get you to 10K a month so you can kind of quit your job and then spend more time with your family? Do you feel like it's reasonable from what I showed you, some of the results, and then obviously the program and the support? Do you feel like from what I showed you, that's the solution for you to get to 10K a month? Does that feel reasonable? Yeah, Miles, it feels reasonable. Okay, why? Right, so we ask them why. Oh, it feels reasonable because, you showed me a lot of results. They're not too different from me. Like, the structure looks amazing. The support looks amazing. So they're selling themselves back is basically what we're doing here, right? We're asking them a couple of quick questions. Hey, do you feel like from what I showed you is going to help you out? What aspect of it's going to be the best? And then, do you feel like what I showed you is going to help you get to XYZ goal, right? And if they say yes, then ask them why. So go a little bit deeper. Sweet. And then after that, we can insert a simple closing line. There's 2 ways of closing I'm going to cover in this video. There's a lot more that are out there, obviously. Maybe I can cover 3 really quick. The first one is a temperature check close. Let's do 3. Yeah, let's do 3. Right, the first one is a temperature check close. So, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, man, look, be honest with me, I'm not going to get offended if you give me a really bad rating here, but on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel like, this 10 being like, this is the solution, let's move forward, and 1 being, this is the worst thing in the world, get off this call. Where do you feel like you're at with this, right? They say 7, you say, hey, how can we make it a 10? They say 2, probably an issue more upstream, but they're probably going to throw in like a 7, 8, or a 9. And it's like, hey, how can we make it a 10, right? And then we can get them closed. If they say 10, by the way, hey, let's get you set up. Sweet. That's one way. It's like a temperature check close. That's where you really don't know if they're actually fully committed. And maybe they didn't give you very good answers to those pre-close questions. So we hit them with a temperature check, which is the 1 to 10 close. Then a simple close, which is like they've just sold themselves back and you're pretty confident that it's a good fit and they're sold on this. We say, hey, John, how about we get you set up so we can move away from insert like problem. So move away from, losing all this money in your business, or move away from lacking sales within your business and start moving towards insert goal, right? So we simply close them out by saying, hey, how about we get you set up so we can start moving away from problem and moving towards goal, right? Simple close. Hey, how about we get you set up so we can start moving away from, not having enough money towards the end of the month and living like paycheck to paycheck, so we can start moving towards, hitting that 5, 10K a month goal. How about we do that? Yeah, let's do it, right? Maybe they say no, that's objection handling. It's a completely different video, but simply that's a really good closing line to just, and rarely people say no, I don't want to move away from problem and move towards goal. So they maybe throw an objection in there, but it's not a hard no, right? So that's the second closing line. The third way of closing is by offering some sort of limited bonus. It's a little bit of a salesy tactic, but I'll show you how to kind of get around that inside of the close. So let's get into it. The way we do this, especially in our business, is like, hey, how about we get you set up, John? We do this thing on these calls where, if you were to move forward, them make a decision on this call today. I know it's a bit salesy, but the reason we do this, we tell them the reason we do this is I do like 12, 13, 15 calls of these a day, right? So you can imagine me following up with everyone that wants 2 or 3 days to think about it. I would lose my mind, right? So how about we get you set up? If you were to get set up today with me and jump on this call, we have a 14-day risk-free guarantee. But if you were to move forward right now, and I'll set you up, it takes 2 minutes, you'll get access to insert bonus, whether that's a bonus call, a discount, I don't really like that one too much, or an access to some more bonus material. Whatever you want to give away as a bonus for making a decision on the call, that's a great closing line. And we're simply just telling them why we do this to kind of reduce the sales pressure. So instead of it being, hey, let's get you set up, we do a bonus with these calls where if you move forward with me right now, you get boom, boom, boom. We basically make it really risk-free, and we make it super, we tell them why we do it. So it's like, hey, I know it's a bit salesy, man, but we do this because I do so many calls, and if I have to follow up with everybody that says I'll join tomorrow, I would personally lose my mind. So if we can just get you set up, it takes 2 minutes, you would get access to bonus. And for whatever reason, in the next 2 weeks, if you're not happy with our support and you're not happy with what I just showed you, you get a full refund, no questions asked. Does that sound fair? And a lot of the time they'll say, yeah, cool, let's do it. And then you close the sale. Sweet. All right, that's the script. I mean, that's the script right there. We went through from introduction to close. I can touch briefly on objection handling. I'm not going to go into a super big deep dive in objection handling because this would be a very long video. But say, for example, you do get an objection. What I like to do is give them the out again. So no pressure, giving them the out, no problem. Want to acknowledge the objection. Hey, Miles, look, I love it. I appreciate that offer, but I just want to think about it. What we would do in this situation is uncover the real objection. Right? We want to uncover what's really holding them back, because a lot of the time they're throwing it, I need to think about it, or I need to speak to my wife, or I need to speak to my business partner, or I need to sleep on it, I don't make decisions like this. Whatever the objection is, we want to uncover the real one, and then we can maybe handle that. And this is gonna be a surface level objection handle. So when they say, hey, I need to think about it, I need to speak to my wife, whatever it is, yeah, absolutely fine. No worries, I appreciate that, and it makes a lot of sense. Here's what we can do if that's cool. Like, I can shoot you over a quick email with everything I just went over, or some of the information I just went over. So when you do go away and think about it, or when you do go away and speak to your wife or business partner, you know, you have something to look at in front of you, so then you can kind of mull it over in your head. That sound fair? Yeah, sounds good. Okay, sweet. Hey, I don't want to send you over like an ebook here, right, John? So, you know, what specifically about what I just showed you over the past, 45 minutes, were you still a little bit hesitant about, or still not too sure on, just so I can, put a bit more detail in that email. So when I can put it all in the email, and you can have a think about that. What specifically was it that you were still uncertain about and wanted to kind of run over in your head? Oh yeah, cool, Miles. If you just put a little bit more about the investment, or a little bit more about the calls, or the Q&As, or how it would look, or the time commitment, boom. So we have the real objection, which is a time commitment. Maybe it's a pricing objection. Maybe it's they don't feel like the course would work for them. So that's one way to uncover the real objection. Then you obviously want to go in and handle that. You don't want to just send them the email, right, as promised. So that's a way to get undercover like the real objection that they have. And a lot of the time, you're still gonna have to fight through it and do some reframing, but I'll leave that one for another video. So that's the sales script. If that was helpful, if you guys sell info, if you guys sell programs, products, like services, software, that's a crazy script that we've been able to develop over the past 12 months. It's generated over $1 million. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. And if it was, subscribe and I'll make an objection handling video.